Hi everyone. As I was introduced, I'm Hannah, so I lead the influencer marketing team at Melt. And today I'm going to take you through a bit of an intro to influencer marketing before we kick off with some more info and the guest speakers as well. So first, a little bit about me. My background, I've been working in digital marketing since 2009. I've done a few great opportunities in speaking, so Brighton SEO and the Content Marketing Show. So all of those topics you can see are quite related to blogger outreach. So I've done a talk called Hello, my name is Blogger, Don't Make Me Mad, and how to guarantee a 0% response rate from blogger outreach. And I'm also an ongoing State of Digital writer. In my spare time, outside of work, I'm also a blogger myself, really passionate about travel and adventure. Kind of call myself an adopted Canadian because I grew up there, so really passionate about travel and also really passionate about working with travel brands. So I've listed some of the ones that I've worked with in the past. The first thing I want to cover today is this question. So what is influencer marketing? Well, there's so many descriptions out there for what you could be using, but simplified, we've called it brand messages delivered by people who are trusted online as an authority on a topic and liked by others. So I really want you to keep that topic point in mind and the likability factor. So first, where are you going to find influencers online? We call them influencers in our department because that's a sort of catch-all, but obviously there's multiple segments within this. So looking at different channels. First, you've got blogs. So as you can see here, you guys are featured. We've got the influencers who sort of primarily blog. We would just call them bloggers ourselves. And then another platform, video. So whether you use YouTube or Vimeo, we would call them vloggers, and obviously if they're on YouTube, we would call them YouTubers. This is just an example from Kristen Sarah, a travel blogger who has posted a video called Most Amazing Things to Do in Thailand, and she's accrued more than 120,000 views on this particular video. And then going to social media as well, we can have a look at social media specific titles such as Instagrammers. Here's an example, Girl Eat World, and this one image has accrued over 12,000 likes, and it's just a picture of her in China with a snack on a stick next to a tourist attraction. So you know, it's the kind of thing that people want to see, and it's quite an interesting image, but sort of generating that amount of likes for that kind of image shows you how powerful it can be. And then there's just an example from Twitter as well, Travelista Jess, and that's just an image of her on one of her unforgettable moments swimming with whale sharks. But what you have to remember is that most influencers are going to be found on multiple channels and not just one, even if they specialize on just one. And that's because things like promotion are really important. So there might be a primary channel, but there'll be other channels as well that will be needed to use to actually gain more of an audience and push that message and do as much as you can with that one piece of content that takes a long time to create. Just an example of this is Heroine in Heels. I'll just use her as an example. She's a London-based lifestyle blogger primarily, but she does a lot in travel. And she primarily functions on her website or her blog, but she's quite prolific on social media as well. So she's very, very active on Twitter. And she's also started doing a travel vlogging series recently, especially after one of her press trips to India, where she went to a few locations. So if you looked into her more, you would see her featuring these videos on her social media and also within her website, which you can kind of just see slightly to the left there, where she's sort of embedded that into a blog post. So now we know what it is and sort of where to find people. But how do we define the difference between an influencer and a celebrity? Because in my opinion, they're two very different things. So I want sort of you to decide whether you think there is actually a difference between them. But what we've kind of done is describe them as this. So a celebrity can influence their followers with sort of a wider mass appeal, whereas an influencer can become sort of more widely known on that subject or topic that we were talking about before. So to sum it up, an influencer is a person who can make their voice heard and respected to their own audience. And I've got a couple of quotes here for you, which kind of help to define this a bit more, so Matthew Nell from Samsung, who leads the social customer experience, has said that an influencer is a self-built star using social channels, whereas a celebrity is built up by traditional channels. So they might be an actor, a chef, someone who's done something outside of social media, and they've brought that following with them to the online environment. And here, Ron Schott from Microsoft, who is the Senior Communications Manager, has also made a great point with celebrities and influencers, that it's a question of mass reach versus mass impact. Influencers carry weight in subjects, celebs bring exposure. So it's kind of just thinking, do you want to have that wide mass appeal and target lots and lots of different people in your audience? Or do you want to sort of go for a smaller audience of more engaged and receptive people? And this is why that's important, because when it comes to influencers, it's possible to have sort of related subtopics. So you know that an influencer is going to specialize in something. There's also loads of subtopics within that as well. And in travel, there's more to it than just travel. We know that's a very, very broad term, and there's so much that goes within it. So if we think, what can we dig it down into? We could have sites that cover long distance walks, for example, or just ones that cover luxury hotel reviews, or even ones that cover gap year adventures. So it's really important to remember that there's lots of subtopics within travel, and obviously you're going to get a more generalistic site as well, but there's loads of different smaller topics within that. So if your brand specializes in something, has a new product that you want to push, or there's a direction that you want to go down, that you'll always be able to find someone that actually suits what you want to get across and sort of joining those products up. And this is just something I want you to take away today. eConsultancy says that consumers are more likely to trust someone with a smaller reach, but who is respected authority on a particular topic. So again, remembering that people actually want, someone to represent that topic, and they're more likely to have that influence over their audience. A couple more slides from me before I hand over. I just want to take you through a very quick evolution of influencer marketing from the way I've seen it. So when I started in 2009, it was really actually quite easy to work with influencers and bloggers. I did a couple of campaigns for Selfridges & Co. and Holland & Barrett, and all we had to do was kind of like go online, loosely find some people, email them, say, hey, do you want to do this for us? And more often than not, they would say yes, because at that time it was like a bit of a flattery kind of thing, like, oh, a brand's getting in touch with me, that's great, I really want to work on this campaign, whether or not there was any sort of payment or anything like that involved. And we kind of managed to do quite a lot in that way. And it's very different now. There's more channels, more influencers, and more brands who want to get involved with influence marketing. And that ultimately means sort of a greater competition, greater costs, and sort of higher expectations. So it is a lot more complicated to do, but as long as you have a good strategy and reason for doing it, influence marketing can be a really beneficial thing for your brand. Very quickly on quality metrics, it's kind of like, how do you decide who to work with? I think Brenna's going to talk a bit more about sort of quality in her section, but I just want to throw a few ideas out for you. So here are just some of the things that you could be looking at when you actually go to find influencers online. So if you look at the bottom, you can see the Moz toolbar, and you can see DA33, so that's domain authority. And this is something that a lot of brands use when they're trying to sort of register how influential a blogger is. So they'll say, oh, they've got a domain authority of a certain number, that makes them good, that makes them bad. But how do you know that a site that has a domain authority of 33 is going to be any worse or better than one that has 20 or 40? It's really just one metric, and you kind of have to look at a collection of metrics and use your own sort of thoughts really when deciding whether to work with someone. So you can obviously look at social media ones. So the site that I've grabbed this from, Instagram, she had 22.3 thousand followers, Facebook over 2,000, and on Twitter over 17,000. So again, those are a couple of extra metrics you can use, but also don't take those in isolation either, because it's very easy to kind of go online and buy followers. And sadly that happens quite a lot. And I think there's sort of a pushback in the sort of blogger environment now for making sure that that's sort of highlighted and it's sort of bad practice, but it's worth keeping in mind it is definitely out there. So don't take social media metrics at face value. And then finally, I've put the award on the side. So again, deciding that's another contextual sort of factor. You can look at someone and whether they have had an award before. But if they don't have one, again, don't rule them out, because, for example, if they're doing a gap year adventure blog, they might just have 1 year that they're posting about their travels. And they might have not yet had a chance to go through an award kind of system in that 1 year. And they might have some really great content and it might be quite aligned to your brand. So remember to keep these things sort of in mind when you're looking at them on their sites. Finally, just a couple of example campaigns from us so you can sort of see what kind of things you could do with influencers. This is just one example. It's a press trip that we carried out at the beginning of this year for one of our clients, and we sent a US travel blogger to the Caribbean. And the reason that we wanted to do this was because they had a load of resorts listed on their website. There was only 1 or 2 sentences for each of them, and the images that they used on the website were sort of like that size. So you couldn't really get a good idea of what that resort would be like. So we sent her, and we wanted her to highlight all the brilliant things you could do in that resort, on the island, or the activities. And through social media, her blog, and YouTube, she really, really brought them to life. And you can see the sort of video at the bottom there, doing handstands on the beach and all these wonderful adventures. So it was really, really good for us to be able to do that. And obviously there were some other benefits that we got out of it too, in terms of SEO benefits and things like that too. And finally, one that we've done with Expedia is a UK food map, and that's still live. You can see it online. It's a map of food festivals and events around the UK in 2017, and sort of toggle each month. And what we've done is we found influencers to sort of promote these events on the map. So rather than just saying, here's a map, post about it, we've actually gone to them and said, do something around the topics within the map and making it a bit more exciting. So we've had people go to all sorts of events across the country, including like the Food, Drink and Rhubarb Festival that happened a couple of months ago. But here's just an example of one from Emily's Recipes and Reviews, and she's created some triple chocolate macarons to promote the York Chocolate Festival. So it's just bringing together the influencer specialism as well as the brand asset and finding the relationship between them.